January of this year, I left the winter area festivals feeling disappointed, deflated, and quite honestly lost as to how to move forward with my training with Chucky. We were in a real rut, and it was getting to the point where I was questioning whether this is even the right career for Chucky. He wasn't happy, I wasn't happy. What were we even doing this for? I left the competition and really sat down and questioned whether this is the right career for us. So I made a commitment. 300 days of hard work, no excuses, and if at the end of the 300 days Chucky still wasn't happy, I'd reassess our future and find a career that he enjoyed more. We're a team and he's my partner. I'm not just going to let him down. He was clearly speaking to me and it was my duty to listen. So I gave it everything I had. I started training with a new trainer twice a week. I made it my mission to get to a new venue at least twice a month for his exposure. We changed some tack, I even changed yards, all on a mission to make Chucky happier. I can't lie, it was hard work. There was lots of blood, sweat and tears, but I was so determined to realise both of our potentials. I didn't want to give up without knowing I'd tried my absolute best to make this work. At the end of the 300 days, we had one big last competition, the Associated Championships at Onley. This is a 2-day stay-away competition, so I knew it'd be a real test for Chucky, and it would be here that I'd make my final decision on how to proceed with Chucky. If he was stressed and didn't enjoy the environment, I would have to make some big changes. He was feeling great at home, but we all know how much this can change in a competition environment, so this would be the big final test.
I want to let you know this is the first time I've ever seen her kiss Chucky.
Actually, Sarah told me I kiss him too much and I have to stop.
Why?
Because she said he knows I love him too much.
And he thinks, oh, she loves me, I can do what I want.
We arrived at the Associated Champs after a long 4-hour drive, and honestly, the difference between this horse here and the horse I had at the winter area festivals back in January were night and day. We now use our platting time as the calm time, whereas before Chucky would get wound up knowing what was about to happen. I think we both use it as a slight meditation time. I even had my neighbours coming up to me complimenting me on how well behaved Chucky was, what a good influence on their horse he was, and how they wish they had a horse like him. I was so proud of him before the competition had even begun, but we had a job to do, so it was time to get on with what we came here for. The first issue arose when I saw the size of the warm-up. It was not even a 20x40, it was tiny. But Chucky handled it like a pro, and he warmed up really nicely for our first prelim test. I'd already been warned about a pretty spooky arena, so I anticipated some spookiness, but we came prepped with all our practice, and I felt well equipped to handle anything that was thrown at me. Chucky did nearly catch me out with this one. The camera's a bit shaky, but he slammed on the brakes. But I was relieved that my initial reaction was to actually just laugh this off, and I focused on keeping his jaw supple and relaxed, and we worked through it and eventually got in the arena and produced a pretty sweet test. This was obviously quite a tense test, but I mean, no way near as tense as they used to be. He even went down the end. In January, we would not have been going anywhere near A. But yeah, I was happy with the test. I got him back quite nicely, but he was more tense than I would have liked him. But a definite improvement. We were sat on first when we came out of this prelim test, but the last two people knocked us down to third, but the difference between us and first place was like 0.2%. So I was so pleased with him. I also decided to ride him on a slightly longer rein in our prelim class because we also had a novice class after this. So I was kind of using this as a bit of a warm-up test. Something we have also been working on in training is getting me to actually move. I get so worried about being still and quiet and not handsy or anything that actually I'm unproductive and ineffective when I ride because I just sit there and become a bit of a passenger, especially in a test. So I use this test to completely remind myself, move, supple your shoulders, move your hands a little bit, don't be afraid to ask of him. So you will see me being a bit more active than I'm probably used to being. But I can assure you I'm not yanking or pulling, I'm simply more actually having a bit of like, is it proprioception in my body and reminding myself where my limbs are and to be supple and to be in my body and not in my head and be present in the moment. So you do see my body here moving maybe more than you previously would have seen. So that's something we're currently working on, and I do have to say it does make Chucky a lot more supple. He has a real tendency to lock his jaw or cross his jaw and set his neck and just kind of whiz off. And me being still in that situation does not help, because he then braces against me and uses that against me. If in those moments I can kind of have a little bit of movement, a little suppleness, a little softness in my arms and my wrists, he then doesn't have anything to lock his jaw against. And that has been a big key for us in keeping his brain relaxed, his head and neck supple, and in turn his body then is much more supple and he can work over his back. So that was my main goal in our prelim, is just to achieve suppleness and softness, to keep my head active and not kind of disassociate out of stress. So I was very happy. We ended up, I need to double check, I think we scored 67% in this test, 67 point something. But I was very happy with him. We only have one slight mishap, which you're going to see coming up. He held this tenseness in this bottom end together the entire time, and he actually didn't feel tense down there by the end of the test. However, I don't know if something rustled behind us. You will see something happening in a moment, and I did think I was about to roll off backwards, I can't lie. But we got it back together. I had a little laugh. I did laugh going down the centre line. You ready? I thought he was going to fly down that arena. But we held it together. I was laughing, smiling at the judge, making the best of it. And our score sheet was really nice. We had some really great, promising comments. And yeah, it set us up nicely for our novice test, which was my priority over this competition. And then we were into our novice test. I am sick of riding novice 5. I never thought I'd say that, but bring on any other novice other than novice 5. So this test, it went very well. You'll see at the end. I tried to pick him up a bit more in this test. As I said, I used the prelim as our warm-up because I did want to prioritise my novice test. And he felt incredible in the warm-up. However, we've developed a new problem thanks to our training. With the development of him working over his back, he has now almost gone too far the other way, which is to be expected. We knew this would likely happen, and it's just another step in the training. But for a horse that used to never want to go on the contact, he now takes it the other way and leans a bit too much and then goes behind the vertical. And this is just him finding his balance and his strength. We're happy for him to do that right now, just because before he would never take us there. So for us, it's kind of an indication that he is getting that feeling and happy to kind of work down. Like, he is still working over his back, but because of his conformation, he is built downhill. So that is the place he then goes to. So the next step is getting him stronger, picking up, keeping that pole up, because obviously we don't want him working behind the vertical. But we're just at that point in our training where that is the place he is now going to. And with that becomes him getting quite heavy on the forehand. So I did feel like I spent a lot of this test really flicking him up like the whole time. Because I am trying to correct the behind the verticalness. But it's a work in progress. But I feel like I spent the entire test trying to flick him up. So yeah, it went well. You guys know me, there's always something I think I can improve, but on reflection, and when I think where we started in this 300-day journey, this is a completely different horse, and I could not be more happy with him. And for him to be at a stay away, to have travelled that far, to have no turnout really, he did so well, and he was a pleasure to have here. And he really did me proud. So I'm going to let you guys watch the rest of this test. I won't nitpick at it because for once I'm just going to appreciate the journey and where we're at now. So I'll leave you guys with this test and I will catch up with you for the results.
Isn't that prelim?
And there we have it, guys. Chucky and I won the Part-Bred Arab novice section, and I am just so proud of him. He's such a good boy. We also came third in the prelim, and I just could not have asked for a better end to our year. After such a tumultuous start, we really picked it up, and it just shows that hard work and commitment pays off. 300 days later, and my horse genuinely feels like a new horse. He's happier, he's brighter, he's more willing, he's enjoying his work. Our results are speaking for themselves, and our partnership is stronger than ever. If you told me back in January that we'd be winning sashes and winning championships, I would have never believed you. I would have wanted to, but I would not have thought it was possible. I'm just so pleased that I listened to him and I listened to my gut and I put in the hard work and made changes. And whilst I'm sure there'll be many more hardships to come and ruts and tricky patches, if anything, this little experiment has proven to me that working hard and staying committed will always pay off. Maybe not in the way you want it to, but it will teach you so much and only make your bond stronger. For now, my next plan, whilst Chucky is happy to, is to continue progressing at novice and hopefully make the step up to elementary in 2026. I have so many dreams to fulfill when it comes to horses, but my main priority will always be their happiness. And if they're happy, I'm happy. So after a very successful weekend, it was time to head home and prep start straight away for the winter area festivals. Our 300-day challenge might be over, but I'm ready to work harder than ever to make our dreams come true.